Okay, today we are going to discuss a topic called as ERP, why we need to go for ERP, why the companies are looking for ERP implementations for their running their business process smoothly, and what are the different ERP packages we are going to see today apart from that, and why the companies are going for your SAP as their ERP package. In detail, we are going to work it out, what do you mean by SAP, why the companies are choosing your SAP, what are the different advantages, disadvantages you will be getting when you go for your SAP implementations. Once we done with your SAP, then we'll be coming to your modules, what are the different kind of modules are there in your SAP. Okay. After that, we'll be looking into your sales and distribution. What exactly you mean by sales and distribution, what are the process involved in it. Okay, starting our presentation with like a definition of ERP. So what does ERP stands for? ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning, and which we are going to call it as an unified environment, which is used for delivering consistent, reliable, and detailed information. At the end of the day, all the manager or higher level officials will be looking only at the reports. How much sales has been done, how much orders that the sales agent has been doing. So for that purpose, we are using ERP to simplify our business process, which will be helping us to take it will be helping us to facilitate timely and quality business decisions. Nothing but it will be helping out to take us the best decisions according to the requirement. Now, coming into why people are going for ERP implementations. So what are the different things we need to see over here? You can see over here, for any manufacturing industry or a trading company or any small to large scale industries, you will be seeing these 4 departments where you will be looking into your finance department, your production department, your human resource department, and logistics department. So these are the 4 departments which will be working tightly, and for example, if you are installing a separate ERP package in any other module, nothing but we are going to call it as a department. And how the data is going to get communicated with other departments. How the data flow is going to happen, and what are the scenarios we are going to see. Just want to elaborate this topic with an example. For example, assume that we are running our business without ERP, where your customer has placed an order for a material X of 100 quantity 10 days before. So the company has promised that by December 20th, he will be receiving the material. Now, customer want to know how exactly and what is the status of his order. So he is giving a ring to the company executive, and company executive is not in a position to reply to the customer queries because she is not having that information with her. What is the reason behind it? Because she was not having that information. Why? Your ERP is not getting implemented. That means your proper communication is not getting established between different departments. So if the communication is not passed from one department to one department, then how you're going to promise the customer saying that on so and so specific date you're going to deliver the goods to him. This is how the business is getting failed and which are closing down. Now, if you take the same example with ERP implementations, you will be able to see over here, whenever the customer is placing an order, if he want to know the status of that order, he's giving a call to the company executive, and all the real-time information is there with your company executive, and she is delivering the information without loss. So for this, you can take an example of your courier services. When you send a parcel to any other places, what they are going to do, your courier agent is going to give you a tracking number. Once you get the tracking number, after a few days, if you want to check it out, whether the parcel has been reached to the destination or not, you will be entered that tracking number in your web portal, and you will be getting the status. That is also one kind of ERP package itself. How the data is getting communicated between the customer and the company. So for explaining more about the ERP, I'm just going to work with a business scenario. For example, normally how the business is going to happen when you go for ERP implementation. For example, here the customer is placing an order, and who is going to be the person responsible for taking the order? Your sales department. The sales department will be receiving the order from the customers. Once the sales department receives an order for a customer, then what is the next step your sales department is going to do? They are going to check the stock in the inventory. So this is what happened. We are going to check the stock in the inventory. Once they get that, the stock is not available. For example, customer placed an order for 100 quantity, but in your inventory you are having only 50 quantity. Then what is the next step your sales department is going to do? Now, he's going to send that requirement to your production people. Now, what production people will be producing the goods. Once the sales department send that information, your requirement, to your production people, the production people will be looking into the raw materials required for production of that final product. So they will be checking the stock in the inventory. Now, once they check the stock levels are not there in the inventory, they are going to place the orders to the vendors, where vendor will be supplying the goods. Once the vendor supplies the goods, your stock is going to get into the update in your inventory, and your production planning people will be issuing those goods to your shop floor execution. Now, what do you mean by this shop floor? Nothing but it's an area within a plant or a factory where you're going to produce the goods. So the production people will be issuing all those raw material required for preparation of that final product to your production people guys, to your shop floor department, where they produce the goods and update the finished product status in your inventory. Then whatever the vendor payments we need to pay to your vendor, all that invoices will be taken care by your finance module. In the same case, as I told you, your shop floor team is going to update with the finished product status. So the sales team is going to send the goods or deliver the goods to your customer. Now, apart from that, what all things are we are saying? You can see production people will be updating to the finance department regarding the payments made to the vendor. In the same way, the sales people will be updating how much revenue they got by selling the products to your customer. All that information will be updated to your finance department. And here comes your HR department. What is the role of this HR department? If you need any staff or your leave applications or anything you need to get approved, the HR department will be taking care of it. For example, your production department needs 4 members. Your sales department needs 2 members of staff. All these departments will be contacting your HR departments for your appointments or new appointments of the staff and your wages. This is how a typical business process will be running, where you can see from this business process where all the modules are getting integrated together and the communication is getting flow. So this is how to come out with a solution ERP came into the existence, where it will be solving all the details, like what are the different kind of advantages we are going to see. Some of the advantages, like you can see over here, it maximizes the efficiency. Nothing but this proper flow of data is happening between one and one module. And you can see over here, streamline flow of information throughout the organization, which is what I was telling to you. And apart from that, real-time information at your fingertips. Nothing but at any point of time, if you execute one program or one command, you will be getting all the information. And it's a simplified reporting process. Nothing but any kind of report can be generated with the help of your ERP package. And data is highly secured, so it's much good for the client, and you can achieve that data at faster speed. These are some kind of advantages you will be getting when you go for your ERP implementations. Now, when we work with what are the different kind of ERP packages available in the market. So these are the few of the ERP packages, like SAP is one, Oracle Apps, PeopleSoft, BAN, and JD Edwards. Now, PeopleSoft was bought by your Oracle Apps. Nothing but the Oracle company is the owner of your PeopleSoft. Before that, the PeopleSoft bought this BAN. The PeopleSoft was the owner of BAN. Now, Oracle is the overall owner for your PeopleSoft and BAN. But they are selling their product by the name of PeopleSoft and BAN itself. Now, what is the market share of each and every packages? Now, here you can see SAP stands number 1 with an package of with an percentage of 35%, and your Oracle stands second with 28%, which is having a tight competition with your SAP, and your Sage Group, which is also another ERP application, which is having a market share of 9.78%, and Micro Dynamics, which is a competitor for your SAP at lower end, which is having a market share of 14%. And rest of the ERPs share 12.85%. You may be heard of Tally as well. Tally is also one kind of ERP package which will be used only for your finance department, which is used for maintaining your balance sheets, credit and debits. Now, if we go with the same business process with SAP, how the functionality of SAP or ERP application is going to happen. Same way, the customer is going to place an order to the sales department. The sales department will be involved in receiving the orders from the customers. And once the sales department receives the order, what they are going to do? They are going to convert the data or enter the transaction data into your centralized ERP system. What we are going to use here is an SAP. Using this centralized ERP system, your inventory department is having all the real-time information. No need of communicating with your sales department how much quantity you require, nothing like that. You can use this centralized ERP system to get the real-time information. In the same case, like for example, customer placed an order for 100 quantity. Now, the sales department is updating that information in your centralized ERP system, and you can check the stock. Now, in your inventory, you're not having 100% stock, you're having only 50%. Now, what they're going to do, the sales department will be issuing that requirement to your production people. Your production people will be authorized to see that real-time information, how much stock they need to produce it, and they are going to produce that stock in such a manner. Now, if they're required to procure any kind of raw materials, they're going to contact the vendor and they're going to get the goods. The vendor is going to supply the goods where the stock is getting updated in your inventory. Now, whatever the payments we need to make to the vendor will be taken care of by your finance department. Before that, you can see your shop floor execution. Once you receive the stock, your production people will be issuing the stock to your shop floor people where they're going to produce the final product. Now, as I told you, your finance department, whatever the payments we need to make to the vendor will be updated in the centralized ERP system, and finance department will be taking care of it to enclose all the payments are made to the vendor within the due date. Now, in the same case, whatever the payments you receive from your customer is also entered in your centralized ERP system, which will be taken care by your finance module, and comes to your HR module, where if you need any kind of staff, manpower, your HR department, you need to enter that information in your ERP system. That information will be accessed by your HR department. Now, this is how an SAP functionality is going to work. Like, if we go for an ERP implementation, there are different kind of ERP implementations and why people are going for SAP. Now, from now, we are going to see what is the SAP, when it is got founded, what are the advantages you are going to get, and how the business is going to run smoothly when you go for your SAP implementation.
Okay.
Now, here comes SAP. Now, what exactly you mean by SAP? SAP stands for System Applications and Product in Data Processing. That is what your SAP. You may be heard of people calling it as SAP. It's like unprofessional. We must not call it as a SAP. We need to spell it as SAP. That is the term where the people who invented SAP software. We need to call it as System Applications and Product in Data Processing. It was founded in the year 1972 by five scientists of IBM, who were the ex-employees of IBM. So those are the people who are invented this SAP for software, and they founded this SAP for software in the year 1972. And the people who involved in invention of this SAP software are more than 5 people. So you can call them like the people involved in it were Wellenreuther is one of the people. Hobbes was one of the scientists. Hector, Plattner, and Scherer. These are the people behind your SAP software implementation. So it's a German-based product, so we are going to call it as a German-based product. It was invented in your Germany. That's the reason we are going to call it as a German-based software company. And if you go for any industry, you will be looking into these 4 departments: so sales, production, finance, human resources. If you have these 4 departments, you can install your SAP and make your business work smoothly. Now coming into why people are going for your SAP. What are the features SAP is giving to you? Now what is the first feature SAP is giving? Simultaneously visibility across the whole enterprise. Now what do you mean by it? As I told you, the typical business process, how the company is working with the typical business process, nothing but a common data will be shared by each and every department. That is what. Simultaneously visibility across the whole enterprises. All departments are updated by centralized ERP where you're going to use SAP, and it is going to support different kind of database and applications, operating system. You can install SAP not only in your Windows platform, you can install SAP in your Linux platform as well, and applications. It has there is a new functionality which has evolved, which is we can call it as a SAP mobility. You can use your SAP in a mobile phone to place an order, to reject an order, to give authorizations. And it has a functionality of migrating itself with your GoToMeeting as one of the applications. Apart from that, your Microsoft Office. If you're placing and if you're using your business process is using Outlook for checking their mails. If you're placing an order through mails, that data will be getting converted into SAP. That much feasibility the SAP is having, and integrated modules. Nothing but all the modules are tightly integrated. With that integration, there is no data redundancy. Everything errors are going to be less. Extensive interface capabilities. Now, what do you mean by this extensive interface capabilities? Nothing but, for example, a company is there which running their HR department by PeopleSoft and sales department by SAP. These are the two different ERP packages this company is using. If you want to fetch any data from your HR departments, SAP has the ability to fetch the data from your HR department, which is using PeopleSoft as the ERP package. This is what you mean by extensive interface capability. SAP is the only software which can integrate with any other applications and get the data. And it is designed for all the business lines. Like already your SAP has given a specific solution for each and every business type. We'll be looking into detail in my next slide. What kind of business applications or business types the SAP is having a specific solution. And apart from that, it's going to support multi-language. So you can log in into SAP not only in English, you can log in into French, Japanese, Chinese, Russian, German. Number of languages are there. It should be around 16 languages you can log in into SAP. And it is going to support what all the currencies. You name the currency, all the currencies will be supported in your SAP. All these factors make SAP as one of the top ERP providers. Now coming to disadvantages. Why SAP projects are getting failed, maybe what is the reason behind it? Why the people are not going for your SAP? Only two things, because the implementation cost, if you go for your SAP as your ERP package, is very high, and time frame. To implement SAP, we need at least 6 to 9 months. That is the reason behind why SAP is getting failed. In some areas, that's it. Not in big areas, only some areas. The people who are not in a position to afford this SAP software, these are the two main reasons. Because it is highly, it is nothing but you can say that it's like the cost of implementation is very high and the time frame. It will be taking around 6 to 9 months to implement your SAP in any of the business. Now coming into a snapshot of your SAP AG company. AG stands for incorporation, which has been a German language. We are just translating it. AG stands for your incorporation, SAP incorporation. And coming to these are the big companies which has gone for your SAP implementations. You may be heard of these companies. And from this slide, I can say that SAP stands #1 in your ERP software and #3 in worldwide software. More than 12 million users are working on your SAP platform. 94,000 installations have been taking place till now. More than 1,600 partners, such as like your Wipro, IBM, Satyam. These are the official partners of your SAP where they have the rights to implement SAP in any of the industries. And SAP has given a specific solution to more than 25 industries. So what are the 25 industries? A few of them we are going to see it. And apart from that, 30,000 plus people are working on your SAP platform worldwide at the moment, and it has been located in 120 countries. So it was founded in the year 1972. That's the reason, like having an SAP is having a history of 32 years. That means industry exposure. 32 years of rich industry exposure your SAP is having. A brief snapshot about your SAP Asia company. Okay. Now, coming into the what all the different kind of industries SAP has given a specific solution. You can see SAP has given a specific solutions for your chemical industry, mill industry, electronic industry, automobile industry, mining industry, oil and gas, pharma, insurance, service provider, telecom, utilities. More than 25 industries, SAP has given a specific solutions, and the companies which have successfully implemented SAP. You can see from this graph, around 90% of the oil and gas companies are using SAP as their ERP package. You can see like for your mining, your Singareni is using SAP as a ERP package. Your mill industry, there is a company called as NEOF of India, which is in production of your wire and cable. Your wire and cable comes under your mill industry, and those mill industry people are using SAP as a ERP package. Your chemical industry, Nagarjuna Fertilizers, your Penna Cements are going for your SAP implementations. Your pharma, Redis Lab. Redis Labs are working with your SAP. Your telecom services, Vodafone use SAP as their ERP packages. So these are the different kind of SAP has been used by different industries. Okay. Now coming into the R/3 architecture. Now what exactly you mean by SAP R/3 architecture? A little bit detail on how we are going to work your SAP, how the data is getting communicated. Now we are going to work with your SAP R/3 architecture, and R stands for real-time 3-tier architecture. R stands for real-time 3-tier architecture. Now what do you mean by this 3-tier architecture? Presentation layer, application layer, and database layer, what we are going to call it as a 3-tier architecture. The presentation layer is nothing but your laptop or desktop where you run your daily transactions. Otherwise you can say that where you're going to install your SAP software. So what kind of software? Like you're going to install a logon pack, which we are going to say it as SAP GUI, and GUI stands for graphical user interface. Now when you install that SAP logon pad onto the system, and he will be working with your system. Like for example, just let me show you. This is what I was telling to you. Like you're going to install this SAP logon pad into your system or your desktop, where the user will be running its daily transactions. Now, whatever the data the user is entering in your presentation layer, that data will be hitting the database layer, because the data you are entering need to be stored in some kind of hard drive. What we are going to call it as a database. Now, how the data is getting flow to your database layer with the help of your application layer, where your application layer will be acting as a dispatcher or a medium of contact between your presentation and database layer. Once you save the data, it will be going and sitting in your database. Now, at few days later, if you want to retrieve the same kind of data, you will be executing one command. All the data which have stored in the database is getting appeared on your screen. Nothing but this is what we are going to call it as an client-server architecture, where you're going to store the data in your database, and the data can be appeared on your system at any point of time by executing one command. Now here you can see an elaborative view. In a company, more than 15 users may be using your SAP software. For example, each user will be using one system to run their daily transactions. For increasing the data speed, nothing but your response time, we can go for your multiple application servers, where to increase the response time, but your database server remains the same. Only one server will be used, but increase the response time, you can go for your multiple servers. This is what you are going to call it as an SAP R/3 architecture, a client-server architecture. And R/3 stands for your real-time 3-tier architecture, which means your presentation, application, and database. Now, coming into what are the different kind of modules we are going to see, functional modules. Okay, like SD is one of the module which we are going to call it as a sales and distribution, material management, which will be responsible for maintaining your inventory, your production, planning. PP stands for your production planning, which is the departments involved in production of the goods, and quality management. How the quality inspection will be taken care by your quality management people. Plant maintenance. PM stands for your plant maintenance. All the equipments in a factory, all the servicing of that equipment, anything is happening to that equipment, all that process will be maintained by your PM department. And warehouse management. WM stands for your warehouse, which we call that like where you're going to store your goods. All these modules together, we are going to call it as a logistics department. Okay. All these modules together, we are going to call it as a logistics department. Now, coming into a finance module, you may be heard of different SAP module as FICO. Like FICO is totally into two different modules. FI stands for your finance, CO stands for your controlling. That is why we are going to call it as FICO. And AM stands for asset management. These three modules together, we are going to call it as FICO. And everybody knows what I mean by HR. HR stands for your human relationships, and WF is nothing but workflow. How your work process is going to happen. Your PS stands for project systems. These are some of the different functional modules which are available in your SAP. And now coming into your sales and distribution, why we are here. Sales and distribution. So what exactly do you mean by sales and distribution? What is the definition of sales and distribution? Now, sales stands for exchange of goods or services for an amount of money or its equivalent. That is what we mean by sales. Nothing but you go to a shop, you buy a product, you pay the money, you come back. That is what you mean by a sale. And distribution. How the product is getting distributed to the customer. In a supermarket, for example, in a supermarket, you buy the products and you ask them to send it door delivery. How the goods are transported from that company to your home. That will be taken care by your logistics department. So these two together, we are going to call it as sales and distribution. Okay. As a sales consultant, we need to know what exactly you mean by sales and how the goods are getting reached to your customers. Now coming into your a little bit in details about how you are going to map. For example, like if you go for your SAP implementation, every company is going to have their organization structure. What are the different departments the company is having, and what are the specific area where most of the people are getting involved. We'll be having an whole organization structure. The first thing when you go for a SAP implementation, like we need to map that organization structure into your SAP. So for example, enterprise. Now what do you mean by this enterprise? Enterprise is nothing but company which is going for SAP implementation. We are going to call it as an enterprise. So we are going to call him as a client in SAP terminology. Now for example, take an example of a Reliance. We are going to call Reliance as an enterprise. Under Reliance, Reliance is operating by different names. Maybe it may be operating by your Reliance Digital, Reliance Fresh, Reliance Textile, Reliance Petrol. What we are going to call that? We are going to call it as a subsidiary, or in your SAP terminology, we are going to call it as a company code. Now why we go for different company codes? Because we need to know how much profit or loss that particular legal entity is making. That's the reason we go for different company codes. In the same way, in the domain terms, we are going to call it as a factory where your production of the goods is going to happen. But in your SAP terminology, we are going to call it as a plant. And your sales organization, which is responsible for sales and goods of services to the customer, the same terminology we are going to use over here. Sales organization itself and a division. In the later classes, we will be looking into what exactly you mean by a division and everything. And warehouse, where you are going to maintain the stock. We are going to call it as in storage locations over here. This is like in general what exactly you mean by how the terminology will be looking like in your SAP. Just making you a little bit aware of it. Okay. Now coming into your sales flow, how the process is going to happen in your sales and distribution. Normally, this is how the sales process is going to happen, where the sales is going to start with an inquiry. Now, what do you mean by an inquiry? To elaborate this one, I'm just taking an example. For example, I want to purchase a laptop. What is the first step I'm going to do? I'm going to choose which laptop I need to go for, whether I need to go for Dell, HP, Acer, Asus. I'm going to decide what kind of laptop I need to go. Then what should be my configuration. According to my requirement, I'm going to design my configuration. So acquiring a product, you will be going to the market, you will be approaching different companies, or you will be looking who is providing what kind of laptops. You will be inquiring about a product. That information will be captured here in your sales, in your inquiry document. Then after, you will be taking the quotations from your company, who is providing the best offer. Like you will be taking a quotation from one company, you will be taking a quotation from another company. Once you take a quotation, you will be comparing that quotation. And keep in mind that your quotation is going to have a validity period. So your quotation, all that information will be maintained in your quotation. What we are going to call it as your inquiry and quotation together, we are going to call it as a pre-sales activities, where you're not going to place an order to the company, but you are inquiring a product, taking a quotation. Now, coming to sales activities. Now, what do you mean by this sales activities? Conversion of this quotation into an order. Nothing but you are legally placing an order to the company saying that I'm placing an order, you need to deliver me the goods within that specific period of time, and you're going to pay the amount. That is the activities you are going to do in your order. Once you place an order, now the company needs to deliver the goods to your customer. And here you can see I have mentioned it here as in the material management, because you're going to maintain your stock in inventory level, where your inventory department is managed by your MM. So here we are going to, at the time of delivery, we are going to have a tight integration of your stock management with your MM people. Now once you deliver the goods to your customer, what you're going to do? You're going to issue the invoice, where you collect the amount and you're going to deposit the amount into the company. Your FI department will be taking care of the rest, how to segregate that amount, whatever you collected from your customers. Now, these are the different activities we are going to see. Like it will be starting with an inquiry, then after quotation, then after order, delivery, billing, and here you can see we have an integration between material management people for maintaining your stock levels and your finance module, to look into your finance things. And here are the different concepts. Contract. Contract is nothing but a legal agreement made between your customer and the company over a specific period of time. Now there are different kind of contracts we are going to work with. Your quantity contracts, your value contracts, service level contracts, your rental contracts. All these contracts will be converted over here. And there is another thing, returns. Now, what do you mean by this returns? Customer service, complaints. This will be coming under your complaints. For example, you send the goods to your customer, but the goods got damaged in the transportation. Now, will the customer will be happy to receive the goods? No. Then what we need to take, then what we need to do? We need to take the goods back and we need to reallocate in new goods. Otherwise, we need to pay the customers. At that time, you're going to work with your credit memo and debit memo scenarios. And if you want to do the replacement, we are going to work with free of charge, subsequent delivery. This is the terminology which we are going to use. In your sample sales, now what do you mean by the sample sales? Nothing but medical representatives are there. Daily what medical representatives will be doing, they will be carrying the samples and they will be issuing the samples to your doctors. How we are going to map that scenario into the SAP? All the scenarios will be looking in detail in your sales and distribution. Nothing but we are going to see that whatever the domain functionality is there, the domain functionality is going to get mapped into the SAP. We are not going to create anything new. We are just mapping the business requirement, and we are giving a better answer to whatever the existing answer is. So this is how your process flow is going to happen. And you can see, first thing, we are going to work your pre-sales activities. Nothing but your inquiry and quotations. Once you've done your study, then we are going to place an order to the company, where your company is going to, where you're going to be legal part of your company, and the company is going to promise you a certain delivery date. Now, how the company is promising you, it will be the information generated by the system. It's not like oral one. Once on that particular delivery, it will be on delivery date, it will be checking the stock in your inventory, and we need to go for your shipping. We need to send the goods to your customer. Once the goods are sent to your customer, we'll be issuing an invoice how much amount you need to pay to the company, and you will be collecting that amount from your customer. This is how your sales flow is going to happen, and within this 45 days of durations or 60 days, we'll be looking into the same cycle. What are the different scenarios involved in it?
Jaya sir, I have a question here.
Yeah.
Sir, one second. Is it possible to create shipping, a delivery without shipping?
Delivery without shipping. Yeah, we can do that one. But only thing is like your shipping document is not going to get generated.
Okay.
Nothing but you are going to pick the goods. For example, you are having a warehouse in Mitchell, but the company is operating in Panjagutta. The goods need to be picked from your warehouse. At that time, it can be picked. And how the shipping is doing. For every company will be not going for your shipping because they will be not providing any kind of free delivery or home delivery. Then your shipping process will be not mapped.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, that's it from my end. This is about a course contents and how we are going to see in the later classes we can decide.
Okay. And sir, how long is this course for? Like, how many hours do you take to teach?
So every day it will be around 60 to 90 minutes of sessions. Okay.
Okay.
So in that 60 to 90 minutes, I'm going to explain you the scenario. I'm going to run the scenario and make you run as well.
And for how many hours?
I need to know how much
totally?
confident are you with your scenario execution. So I'll make you run.
Okay. And how many hours do you finish the course?
Within hours.
Yes.
It could be around 60 to 60 hours at the maximum.
Sorry?
60 hours.
60 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. And sir, do you also provide some handouts for us?
Yeah, we do provide it. Once I finish up with my class, all the class notes will be mailed to you. Because I'm taking the screenshots of how to run a cycles. So each and everything I'm having a screenshots, like I'm going to provide you all the class notes with your screenshots as well. All these things will be mailed to you after the end of the class. Apart from this, I'm going to provide you the standard books, a soft copy of your standard books, how you're going to deal with it. How to run a scenario in my absence. If you're getting any kind of doubt at any time, you can contact them. You can contact me. I'm ready to help you out.
Okay. All right, sir. Thank you very much.